I pushed open the doors to the banquet hall, only to see that on the massive wedding portrait, my face had been replaced by Zhao Xianxian's. Amidst the deathly silence of the crowd, Qi Yuqing stepped in front of her to shield her. Wanrong Xianxian was just playing a prank. I smiled. This was the third time and the last. I ripped off my veil and cast a video from my phone onto the giant screen. In the footage, Zhao Xianxian was straddling Qi Yuqing, giggling. Once she becomes Mrs. Qi, pet for life will belong to you. I turned around. Fine, the wedding is off. Behind me, Qi Yuqing's face turned deathly pale. He had no idea that I had even more damning evidence held back. The Peninsula Hotel's banquet hall was booked for my wedding today at 3,800 yuan per table. With 238 guests invited, most of the big names in the medical industry had shown up. I stood at the entrance in a custom-made gown with a 3-meter train. My makeup had taken 2.5 hours, and for what? The moment I pushed the doors open, I heard a collective gasp. Straight ahead, on the wall where my wedding portrait with Qi Yuqing should have been hanging, the photo had been swapped. My face was gone, replaced by Zhao Xianxian's. She was clad in white lace, leaning into Qi Yuqing's arms with a sweet smile. It was the same set we had shot in the Maldives, but the leading lady wasn't me. Holy crap, someone whispered. The room fell silent. Qi Yuqing stood beneath the photo, looking sharp in his suit, but his expression shifted the moment he saw me. Beside him, Zhao Xianxian was in a bridesmaid's dress, her head bowed as if she had done something wrong. I picked up my skirt and walked in, my heels clicking loudly against the floor. President Wen this. The MC rushed over, looking incredibly awkward. It might be a prank. I ignored him, walked up to the photo and stared at that face for 3 seconds. Zhao Xianxian, Qi Yuqing's secretary. She earned 8,000 a month but drove a Porsche to work. I'd suspected something for a long time. The first time was in Qi Yuqing's office where she was reporting on work while sitting on his lap. The second was after the company's annual gala, when I saw her enter his hotel room and stay for 4 hours. Qi Yuqing said, "She's drunk, I'm just letting her rest." I believed him. Wanrong. Qi Yuqing walked over and lowered his voice. "The guests are watching, let's get through the ceremony first and I'll explain everything later." I looked at him. When this man was pursuing me, he stood outside the doors of Pet for Life for 3 months. He said he admired me, admired how I reached the top of the industry before I was 30, and how I built a pet hospital chain from scratch. He said he loved me for my independence, my strength, and my uniqueness. Explain what? I asked. Zhao Xianxian looked up then, her eyes welling with tears. "Sister Wen, I'm so sorry, I really just wanted to play a joke. There's nothing going on between President Qi and me, really." "Here we go again." That's exactly what she said last time. "Sister Wen, I drank too much. President Qi was just helping me." "Sister Wen, don't misunderstand, we were just working overtime." This was the third time. Xianxian was just joking. Qi Yuqing frowned, his voice hushed. "Don't make a scene, so many people are watching. Give me some face. Give him some face." He said the same thing when I first caught him acting suspicious. "Wanrong, give me some face. Don't make a scene at the office." The second time. "Wanrong, give me some face. She's just a young girl, don't take it out on her." I laughed. I pulled my phone from my clutch and tapped it a few times. The giant screens in the 4 corners of the hall lit up simultaneously. The photos vanished, replaced by a video. In the footage, Zhao Xianxian was sitting on Qi Yuqing in her pajamas, laughing hysterically. The setting was his living room. On the sofa lay my throw pillow, the one I had embroidered by hand. "Once she becomes Mrs. Qi, pet for life will belong to you." Zhao Xianxian's voice echoed clearly through the speakers. "Keep it down." Qi Yuqing's voice replied. "What are you afraid of? She's still working overtime treating dogs." Zhao Xianxian laughed even louder. "Qi Yuqing, do you think she'll cry if she finds out you only pursued her to swallow her company whole?" The room erupted into an uproar. Qi Yuqing turned white as a sheet and rushed toward the screen to shut it off. But the video kept playing. The content that followed was even more scandalous. I took off my veil and tossed it to the ground. When Wanrong, Qi Yuqing turned to glare at me, his eyes full of panic, rage, and a sinister edge I had never seen before. "Are you out of your damn mind?" "Fine," I said. "The wedding is off." I turned to walk out. "Sister Wen." Zhao Xianxian chased after me a few steps, tears already streaming down her face. "Sister Wen, let me explain. This video is fake. It's photoshopped. I really didn't." I stopped and looked back at her. She was a convincing crier, red eyes, red nose, the picture of a pitiful victim. Qi Yuqing stood behind her, his face grim, but he didn't speak again. Zhao Xianxian, I said, I have the full medical records for that malpractice incident at Qi Medical that killed your brother. Do you want to know the truth? She froze, the tears were still on her face, but the look in her eyes changed instantly. I ignored her and strode out of the hall. Behind me, chaos broke out, people shouting that the bride had left, people making calls, people chasing after me. I stepped into the elevator and hit the button for the first floor. As the doors closed, I saw Qi Yuqing running toward me, his face pale and his lips trembling. When Wanrong, he screamed, the doors shut. I leaned against the elevator wall, my wedding dress crumpled around me. My phone rang. It was the company accountant, President Wen. Something's wrong, her voice was shaking. We just got word that the investment we negotiated has been suddenly pulled. Also, the bank called. There's an issue with our loan. We have to repay 30 million by tomorrow or else. The elevator reached the ground floor. The doors opened. I took a deep breath and walked out. In the lobby, several employees stared at me in shock, wearing my wedding gown, dragging the train behind me. I walked out one step at a time. My phone buzzed again. It was a text from an unknown number. President Wen, tonight was just the beginning. Qi Yuqing started shorting your company 6 months ago. Want to know more? Tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. The usual cafe. Come alone. I stopped. Outside the window, a black Porsche drove by. Zhao Xianxian was inside. She wasn't crying or panicking. She was touching up her lipstick in the rearview mirror, a smirk playing on her lips. She saw me through the glass. She gave me a small smile and then floored the accelerator. I gripped my phone tight. My wedding dress dragged across the ground, stained with dirt. The next morning at 7:00 a.m. when I arrived at the office, over a dozen people were already blocking the entrance. President Wen, when will the payments be settled? President Wen, I heard your capital chain is broken. President Wen, I'm from Hongyuan Tech. Qi Medical sent us to collect the debt. I stood on the steps looking at the crowd. There were suppliers, partners, some familiar faces, some strangers. Hongyuan Tech, I'd never heard of them. Move, I said. President Wen, a fat man pushed forward, waving a contract. Qi Medical transferred your debt to us, 3 million, it must be paid today. Qi Medical, I looked at the contract in his hand. It indeed bore Qi's official seal. Qi Yuqing moved fast. The wedding failed yesterday, and today he was already closing the net. The accounting office opens at 9. I said, if you want money, get in line. I pushed past him and entered the building. In the elevator, I pulled out my phone and made 3 calls. First, to Director Zhao at the bank. His phone was off. Second, to the investor, Mr. Li. No answer. Third, to my lawyer. It went through. Attorney Zhu, is it legal for Qi Medical to transfer my debt to someone else? President Wen, it depends on the contract. Do you have business dealings with them? Yes, I said. 2/3 of Pet for Life's medical equipment is sourced from Qi Medical, but we pay in cash upon delivery. Where did this debt come from? There was a 2-second silence on the line. President Wen, you need to check the books if there are unsettled payments, or if there's some kind of VAM agreement or guarantee clause. The elevator arrived, the doors opened, and I saw the receptionist, Xiao Zhong, standing there with bloodshot eyes. President Wen, manager Liu from HR left and took 3 core team members with him. Also, the accounting office door was pried open last night, and the security cameras were disabled. I tightened my grip on my phone. My office door was open. A woman sat inside with her back to the door, wearing a black suit and crossing her legs. Hearing footsteps, she turned around. Zhao Xianxian. Good morning, Sister Wen. She was all smiles, holding my teacup in her hand. This tea isn't bad, Lapsang Suchong. President Qi loves this too. I walked over, took the cup back and poured the tea into the trash can. How did you get in here? The door wasn't locked. She stood up in her 10-centimeter heels. She was nearly as tall as me. Sister Wen, I came to deliver something to you. She pulled a document from her bag and placed it on my desk. The strategic cooperation agreement between Qi Medical and Pet for Life, she said. You signed it, remember? I remembered 6 months ago Qi Yuqing brought this agreement to me saying our companies should cooperate strategically and share resources. I reviewed the terms, saw no issues and signed it. Turn to page 12, Article 7. Zhao Xianxian said. I flipped to that page. During the period of cooperation, if one party encounters a major operational crisis, the other party has the right to take over its core business and assets. I looked up at her. A major operational crisis. Zhao Xianxian smirked. Sister Wen, take a guess. What exactly defines a major operational crisis? Let's see. Investors pulling out, banks cutting off loans, core employees jumping ship. Suppliers knocking on your door in droves to demand payment. She set her teacup down with a soft clack. Just yesterday, Pet for Life's main investor backed out. Your bank credit was frozen, Manager Liu left with his team, and the suppliers sent over their invoices. Tell me, Sister Wen, wouldn't you call that a major operational crisis? I stared her down. Did Qi Yuqing send you here? I came on my own accord. She leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Do you have any idea how long I've waited for this day? 3 years ago, I was an intern at Qi Medical. My brother was hospitalized and used one of the company's devices, and he died. I wanted to sue, but what happened? Qi Yuqing paid me off to shut me up and told me to get lost. Later, I came back. I became his secretary. I slept with him, and once I gained his trust, I told him, I want to help you take down Wen Wanrong. I want revenge because my brother died. At Pet for Life. Your brother was never treated at Pet for Life. I know that, she laughed. But Qi Yuqing doesn't. He thinks I hate you, that I want to destroy you, so he let me in on his plan 6 months ago. He told me to seduce an investor. The man took a liking to me and gave Qi Medical a massive infusion of cash on the condition that I stay with him for 3 months. Qi Yuqing agreed. She paused. Sister Wen, do you know who that investor is? It's the same one who pulled his funding yesterday. It clicked. You did that on purpose. Of course. She sat back down. I want him to lose everything. Qi Yuqing thinks he's using me, but I'm the one using him. I know his company, his clients, all his dirty laundry, including what happened to his father. Do you know how the old man died? I remained silent. A medical accident, she chuckled. Just like my brother, he used Qi Medical's own equipment, but Qi Yuqing suppressed the story and even framed a competitor for his mother's death. Sister Wen, why do you think he's so desperate to swallow your company? It's because Pet for Life is clean. You have a sterling reputation. He wants to use you to wash his hands white. My phone rang. It was Director Zhao from the bank. President Wen, look, about yesterday, I'm in a tight spot. Qi Medical is putting on the pressure, claiming your company has major operational risks. They're forcing us to recall the loans immediately. Director Zhao, we've worked together for 3 years. I know, how about this? Pay back the 30 million first and then we can talk about the rest. I hung up. Zhao Xianxian stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the crowd of debt collectors gathered below. Sister Wen, you have 2 choices now. 1, admit defeat and sell Pet for Life to Qi Medical. He's offering 80 million. 2, work with me and I'll help you tear him down. Why help me? Because of my brother. She turned around. He's been dead for 3 years. Qi Yuqing paid me 500,000 and never even said he was sorry. I want him to pay the price, but I can't do it alone. I need you. I looked into her eyes. She was lying. I could tell this woman was a master actress. Tears came on command, and her smiles shifted like the wind. I had to take every word she said with a massive grain of salt. But one thing was true. She wanted Qi Yuqing ruined. I don't cooperate with enemies, I said. Then wait for the end. She grabbed her bag and walked to the door, looking back at me one last time. You can hold out for 3 days at most, Sister Wen. After that, Pet for Life won't belong to you anymore. The door clicked shut. I sat down, opened my laptop and pulled up the financial data. A 30 million yuan loan due tomorrow, 5 million in supplier debts due this week. 2 core projects stalled because of the staff walkout, and then there was Qi Medical waiting in the wings to seize my business. A notification pinged, an email from an anonymous address with a compressed file attached. I opened it. Inside were dozens of documents, Qi Medical's financial flows, quality inspection reports, hospital procurement contracts, and a 5-year-old medical accident appraisal. Deceased, Zhao Lei, age 23, cause of death, fracture of an artificial joint during surgery, leading to massive hemorrhaging. Involved product, German imported artificial joints distributed by Qi Medical, batch No. K202111108. The last file was an internal email from Qi Yuqing to Qi Medical executives. Subject, resolution for the Zhao Lei incident. 1. Compensate family 500,000. Sign NDA. 2. Recall this batch. Relabel and resell. 3. Strictly forbid any employee from leaking this. Violators will be terminated. I stared at the screen outside. The debt collectors were still shouting. I picked up my phone and sent a text to the anonymous number. Who are you? 3 seconds later the reply came. Someone else who wants him dead. Qi Medical's anniversary gala was held at the Four Seasons Hotel. When I received the invitation, I was in the middle of a heated argument with a supplier. The fat man had brought a dozen people to block my office entrance, hoisting a banner that read, Pet for life. Give us our hard-earned money. The police came and escorted them away. I stood by the window watching them disperse, clutching the gold-embossed red card, Chi Medical Group 15th Anniversary Celebration. We cordially invite Ms. Wen Wanrong to attend. Host Chi Yuqing. Attorney Ju was beside me. President Wen, don't go, it's clearly a trap. I changed into a long black gown and put on the diamond necklace Chi Yuqing had given me. The one he claimed was a family heirloom from his mother when he proposed. I'm going, I said. Why wouldn't I? At 7:00 p.m., hundreds of luxury cars were parked outside the Four Seasons. Chi Medical's status in the industry was no joke. Directors of public hospitals, owners of private clinics and government officials, most of them were there. As I stepped out of the car, several reporters froze for a second before the shutters started clicking like rapid fire. President Wen, is it true you cancelled the wedding with President Xi? President Wen, we heard Pet for Life's capital chain has collapsed. President Wen, what is your relationship with Zhao Xianxian? I ignored them, walking in on high heels. Inside the ballroom the lights were dazzling, and the air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume. Chi Yuqing was standing by the head table, looking sharp in his suit, glass in hand, laughing and chatting with several industry titans. Zhao Xianxian was by his side in a deep V-red gown, her arm linked through his. When she saw me she smirked. Oh, look who's here, President Wen. A female voice rang out. I turned. It was the wife of the boss of Hongyuan Pharma, a woman in her 40s named Mrs. Liu, decked out in jewels. I had met her once before, back when Chi Yuqing was courting me. She was incredibly polite. Mrs. Liu, I nodded. My goodness, President Wen, I heard your company is in trouble. She leaned in close, whispering loudly enough for everyone around to hear. Bank recalls, staff running away. Oh, what a shame. When President Xi was chasing you, I told him someone as capable as you was the perfect match for him. But now it seems. She hid a snigger behind her hand. A few people nearby laughed along. I looked her dead in the eye. Mrs. Liu, how long has Hongyuan Pharma been partnering with Chi Medical? 3 years. She said proudly. President Xi takes great care of us. He gives us only the best inventory. The best inventory. I repeated. Mrs. Liu, are you aware that a batch of Chi Medical's artificial joints failed quality inspection last year? She blinked, stunned. When Wanrong, Chi Yuqing's voice came from behind me. Don't talk nonsense here. I turned around. He stood before me with Zhao Xianxian clinging to his arm, looking at me with a mocking smile. President Xi, I said, am I talking nonsense? Batch K20211108, German imported artificial joints. Quality reports showed they didn't meet pressure resistance standards. Where did that batch end up? Chi Yuqing's face drained of color. The crowd went silent, all eyes on us. When Wanrong, are you here to crash the party? Zhao Xianxian spoke up. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp. This is Chi Medical's 15th anniversary. As an outsider, what right do you have to come here and point fingers? Besides, Pet for Life is on the verge of bankruptcy. Shouldn't you be worried about your own problems? An outsider? I laughed. Zhao Xianxian, a month ago you were calling me Sister Wen and saying you'd be my bridesmaid. What, you don't recognize me now that you've flipped the script? That's because I didn't know what kind of person you were. Zhao Shenxian's eyes reddened. Sister Wen, I know you hate me. You hate that I'm close to President Xi, but you can't go throwing dirt on Chi Medical just because of a personal grudge. Do you know how many lives Chi Medical has saved? Do you know how many patients rely on their equipment to survive every year? She spoke with such raw emotion that tears began to well in her eyes. People in the crowd began to whisper. That's too much. Exactly, her own company is failing, so she comes here to pick a fight. Typical woman, letting her emotions get the best of her. Chi Yuqing sighed and patted Zhao Shenxian's hand. Wanrong, I know you're upset, but today is a big day for Chi Medical. Can you please stop making a scene? He looked at me with a mix of helplessness and forced patience, as if I were the one being unreasonable. Whatever it is, we can talk in private, all right? He was a phenomenal actor, the man who stood outside my office for 3 months, the man who swore to love me forever, was now looking at me like I was a crazy ex-girlfriend. Chi Yuqing, I said, how did your father die? His expression stiffened. How did your brother die? I continued. And Zhao Shenxian's brother, Zhao Lei, how did he die? They all used Chi Medical's equipment, didn't they? Enough. Zhao Xianxian suddenly shrieked, tears streaming down her face. When Wanrong, you've gone too far. My brother's death had nothing to do with Chi Medical. Don't you dare bring him into this. She lunged at me, but Chi Yuqing caught her. Security. Chi Yuqing shouted. Escort President went out, 2 guards approached. I'll show myself out, I said. As I turned, I spotted someone in the crowd, a man in his early 40s wearing a grey suit, holding a glass and watching me. His gaze was cold, but there was a hint of a smile on his lips. Lin Muzhou, CEO of Lin Health, Qi Medical's biggest rival. He gave me a slight nod. I walked out of the ballroom. Behind me the doors thudded shut. The hallway was silent, save for the clicking of my heels. President Wen, a voice called out. I turned to see Lin Muzhou's assistant, a young man. Mr. Lin would like to invite you for a cup of tea in the next room, he said. I looked at him. Does your boss know me, Mr. Lin said. He has something you want. I followed him into a private suite. Lin Muzhou was sitting on a sofa. The tea was already brewed. President Wen, please sit. He gestured to the seat across from him. I sat. Is there something you need, Mr. Lin? He poured a cup and pushed it toward me. President Wen, do you know why Qi Yuqing is trying to destroy you? I do. He wants to take over Pet for Life. It's more than that. Lin Muzhou looked at me. What he really wants is your technology. Pet for Life success rate for pet cardiac surgery is #1 in the country. Qi Yuqing wants to fold that into Qi Medical to build a veterinary sector and then take the company public. I'm aware. What you don't know is, he paused, he's been laying this trap for 6 months. The investors, the bank, the staff walkouts, he orchestrated all of it, including tonight. What did he orchestrate tonight? He wanted you to come so he could humiliate you in public and provoke you into losing control, Lin Muzhou said. If you had slapped Zhao Xianxian just now, the headlines tomorrow would have read, Female boss of Pet for Life ruins ex-boyfriend's gala in fit of jealousy. Your reputation would have been finished. I held my teacup silent. But you didn't take the bait, he smiled. That's why I decided to meet you. What do you want? A partnership? He pulled a manila folder from the table. I have a whole bag of dirt on Qi Medical, quality reports, bribery records, medical accident files. It's all here. I stared at the folder. And the condition? Help me bring down Qi Medical, he said. When it's over, Qi Medical's equipment business is yours. I don't want Qi's dirty money. Then what do you want? I looked him straight in the eye. I want Qi Yuqing behind bars. Lin Muzhou blinked. Then laughed. Deal. He opened the manila folder and pulled out a report. This is the original quality inspection report for batch K202111108. He said, the testing data from the German manufacturer shows the pressure resistance was 30% below standard. But Qi Yuqing bribed the testing agency to falsify the report. 2,000 units from this batch were sold to 17 hospitals nationwide. Out of the patients who received them, 12 had complications and 3 died. I stared at the report. Was Zhao Lei one of them? Yes, he replied. He was Zhao Shenxian's biological brother. I looked up at him. Does Zhao Xianxian know about this? She knows, Lin Muzhou said. Not only does she know, but she also helped Qi Yuqing cover it up. In exchange, Qi Yuqing promised her 10 million in cash and a 5% stake in Qi Medical once the deal was finalized. I was stunned. I thought she hated Qi Yuqing. Hate him, give me a break, Lin Muzhou sneered. They're birds of a feather tied to the same sinking ship. Why do you think she's helping you? She's playing both sides. She helps Qi Yuqing ruin you first, then squeezes a fortune out of your side. No matter who wins, she comes out on top. I leaned back against the sofa. Quite the player, this Zhao Xianxian. What about her brother? She just doesn't care. Care about what? Lin Muzhou said. When her brother died, she was only 20 and had just started her internship at Qi Medical. Qi Yuqing gave her 500,000 to shut her up, and she did exactly that. Later, she realized sticking with him offered a brighter future, so she threw herself at him, becoming his secretary and his mistress. He paused. That woman is far more ruthless than you imagine. I gazed at the night view outside. The neon lights of the Four Seasons flickered beautifully. Mr. Lin. I stood up. Thank you for the tea, but I can't take this report. He was taken aback. Why not? Because I don't use other people's handouts. I said, I'll do my own digging and find my own evidence. When the time comes, I'll come to you for the partnership. I walked to the door and glanced back at him. And tell your people to stop sending me anonymous emails. If you want to collaborate, come to me directly. He laughed. When Wanrong, you're even sharper than I thought. I ignored him and pushed the door open. In the hallway, Zhao Xianxian was standing by the elevators. Seeing me come out, she smirked. Sister Wen, what did Lin Muzhou want with you? Take a guess. She walked over, leaning in to whisper. Sister Wen, I know you don't trust me, But let me tell you something, Chi Yuqing is heading to Hong Kong the day after tomorrow to negotiate a massive deal. That shipment is an upgraded version of batch K20211108, produced by the same German factory. If you want to investigate, I can help you. I looked into her eyes, they were bright and her smile seemed genuine. Why help me? Because of my brother, she said. It's been 3 years, I've finally waited long enough for this day. The elevator doors opened, I stepped inside and she stood outside waving. Think about it, Sister Wen. The doors slid shut. I leaned against the wall and texted Attorney Ju, check Zhao Xianxian's bank records, specifically from 3 years ago. 3 seconds later, understood. As the elevator descended and the numbers ticked down, I thought about what Lin Muzhou had said. They're birds of a feather. If that were true, why was she still helping me? There was only one explanation, she wanted Chi Yuqing and me to tear each other apart so she could swoop in and claim the spoils. I smiled to myself, let's see who ends up being the fish on the hook. 3 days later, Hong Kong. I was sitting in the corner of a tea restaurant in Central, across from Lin Muzhou. He was dressed in casual clothes and a baseball cap, a far cry from his polished look at the Four Seasons. Are you sure he's coming? I asked. Positive. He checked his watch. Chi Yuqing has a 3:00 p.m. meeting with the Germans to sign the contract at the finance center across the street, but before that he's meeting someone here. Who? Zhao Xianxian. I took a sip of my milk tea. Don't they see each other every day? Why fly all the way to Hong Kong? Because what they're discussing can't be overheard by anyone. Lin Muzhou lowered his voice. Zhao Xianxian is setting her terms. She helps him destroy you and he gives her a 5% stake plus 20 million in cash, but she doesn't trust him. She's demanding the shares be transferred to her name first. Chi Yuqing refused. They're at a deadlock. How do you know all this? I have an inside source at Chi Medical. He smirked. Don't worry about who it is, they're reliable. Outside, a black van pulled up. Chi Yuqing stepped out, dressed in a sharp suit and sunglasses. He scanned his surroundings before entering the restaurant. Since we were tucked away in a corner behind a screen, he didn't spot us. He went straight to the private booth in the back. Zhao Xianxian is already inside. Lin Muzhou noted. I pulled out my phone and started recording. 3 minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was Attorney Ju. President Wen, I've got the records. 3 years ago, she did receive a transfer of 500,000 marked as compensation from Chi Medical. But there's something bigger. 2 years ago, a property worth 8 million was registered in her name, paid in full. The funds came from a company called Hongyuan. Yes, Hongyuan Tech, the same one that blocked your office doors the other day. The legal representative is a man named Liu, the younger brother of Mrs. Liu, the woman from Hongyuan Pharma. A flash of memory hit me. Mrs. Liu humiliating me at the Chi Medical Gala. What's the connection between Zhao Xianxian and Hongyuan? Nothing on the surface, Ju said. But 3 months ago, Hongyuan Tech had a 5 million yuan expenditure marked as consulting fees paid to Zhao Xianxian's personal account. 3 months ago, exactly when Chi Yuqing started shorting my company, I hung up and looked at Lin Muzhou. Zhao Xianxian is in league with Hongyuan. He blinked. Hongyuan, the debt collectors. Exactly, I said. Chi Yuqing sent Hongyuan to harass me and force me to pay up, but he has no idea that the real boss of Hongyuan is one of Zhao Xianxian's people. Lin Muzhou frowned. You mean, she's double-dipping, I said. She helps Chi Yuqing take me down while using her own company to collect the debts. That way, even if Chi Yuqing stiffed her on the shares, she'd still walk away with a fortune from Hongyuan. The booth door opened. Chi Yuqing walked out, his face livid, followed by a beaming Zhao Xianxian. Think about it, President Chi, she said. A 5% stake in exchange for pet for life is a steal. Chi Yuqing ignored her and stormed out. Zhao Xianxian stood there, her smile fading as she watched him leave. She turned and glanced toward our table. I lowered my head, but she had already seen me. The click-clack of her heels approached. Sister Wen, what a coincidence. She stopped at our table and looked at Lin Muzhou. Oh, and Mr. Lin is here too, so are you two partners now? I looked up at her. Zhao Xianxian, do you own Hongyuan Tech? She froze for a split second, then laughed. You really are something, Sister Wen, you found out that fast. Why what? She sat down and took a sip of my milk tea. Sister Wen, did you think you were the only one with a grudge against Chi Yuqing? I have one too. He killed my brother and tried to brush me off with 500,000. I've waited 3 years for this. You think I'm going to let this chance slip by? And your connection to Hongyuan. Hongyuan is owned by my uncle, she said. My mother's brother. That initial 500,000 from Chi Yuching was funneled through him later. He gave me a ghost position at Hongyuan for dividends 3 months ago. When Chi Yuching asked for his help to block your doors, my uncle asked me if we should do it. I told him yes, but we had to raise the price, so he added a 5 million yuan fee that went straight to my account. She gave me a sweet smile. See, sister, when I'm being perfectly honest with you. I looked at her. Every word she said sounded like the truth, but I knew better than to believe her. What do you want from me? To cooperate, she said. Negotiations with Chi Yuching just fell through. He won't give me the shares, only more cash. But I don't want money, I want him in prison. You want the same thing, don't you, Sister Wen? She looked at Lin Muzhou. Mr. Lin, care to show me that dirt you're holding? Lin Muzhou remained silent. Fine, keep your secrets. She stood up. Sister Wen, I'm heading back to the mainland the day after tomorrow. If you change your mind, let me know. I have much more than you think. She walked away. My mind was racing. What do you think? Lin Muzhou asked. She's fishing, I said. She wants to see what we have so she can report back to Chi Yuching. Are you still going to work with her? Yes, I stood up. But we're doing it my way. I pulled out my phone and texted Zhao Xianxian tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. for Seasons Cafe. I'll come alone. 3 seconds later, deal. Lin Muzhou stared at me. Are you crazy? She'll definitely bring Chi Yuching. Let her. I said, it's time to settle this once and for all. The next day, 3:00 p.m. Four Seasons Cafe, I sat by the window with an Americano outside. The streets of Central were bustling under the bright sun. Zhao Xianxian arrived right on time. She was dressed down today, white shirt, jeans, ponytail, looking like a fresh college grad. She sat across from me and ordered a latte. You've got guts, sister. Wen, she said, aren't you afraid I brought backup? Did you? She smiled. No, I'm here to talk business. She pulled a folder from her bag and laid it on the table. This is everything I have: Chi Medical's double books, bribery logs, medical accident records, it's all here, including the full file on batch K20211108. Everything from the original German reports to the falsified domestic records, the sales distribution, and the list of victims, it's all there. I picked up the folder and skimmed through it. It was thorough, more thorough than I could have imagined. What do you want? The truth about my brother, she said. I want to know exactly how he died. Was it the equipment? Was it a surgical error? Or was it something else? I looked at her. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. When my brother was hospitalized 3 years ago, I was interning at Chi Medical, she said. When that batch of joints failed, I was the first to know, but I was too scared to speak up. I was afraid of losing my job. Then my brother died, and Chi Yuching came to me with 500,000 and an NDA. I signed it. She looked down. Do you know what that feels like, sister, when signing your own brother's death warrant for money and pretending nothing happened? I didn't answer. I thought I could live with it. She looked up. But I can't. Every time I see Chi Yuching, I think of my brother lying on that operating table, never waking up. I want revenge. I want him to feel exactly what I felt. She looked at me with a gaze that seemed incredibly sincere. Sister, when I know you don't trust me, but this evidence is real. Use it. No thanks necessary. I only have one condition. On the day Chi Yuching goes to prison, I want to be there to see it with my own eyes. I was silent for 3 seconds. Deal. I tucked the folder away and stood up. Zhao Xianxian, if I find out a single word you said today is a lie, I will make sure you end up in a state far more miserable than Chi Yuching's. She smirked. Rest easy, sister, when I hate him even more than you do. I turned and walked out. Just as I reached the exit, my phone rang. It was Attorney Zhu, his voice frantic. President Wen, we have a crisis. I just received a court summons. Chi Medical is suing you for defamation, seeking 50 million in damages. Also, officials from the Health Bureau are at the office. They claim they're investigating our surgical records. Someone tipped them off, alleging that PET for life surgery success rates are falsified. I stood by the door looking out at the street. The sun was still shining brightly, but I knew the storm had arrived. Let them investigate, I said. I'm on my way back. I hung up and cast one last glance back at the cafe. Zhao Xianxian was still in her seat, sipping her latte and staring out the window as if sensing my gaze. She turned and gave me a small smile. I hopped into a taxi and called Lin Muzhou. Chi Medical has made its move. I know, he said. I just got word that Chi Yuching called a board meeting this afternoon to formally trigger the acquisition of PET for life. His justification: your company is in a major operational crisis, and per the cooperation agreement, Chi Medical has the right to take over. In his dreams, President Wen, you need to be prepared, Lin Muzhou warned. This lawsuit won't be easy. Qi Yuqing has connections in the health bureau and the courts. If you want to win, you need something much harder than his defamation charges. I have it. What? The original quality reports for those artificial joints along with evidence of Qi Yuqing's falsified records. There was a 2-second silence on the other end. Where did you get that? Zhao Xianxian. And you trust her? I don't, I said. But I believe the documents are real, and even if they weren't, I'd find a way to make them real. I hung up and watched the cityscape blur past. The taxi passed a building with a prominent sign, Qi Medical Group, a 15-story glass monolith gleaming in the sun. I stared at it, and a thought suddenly struck me. Why was Qi Yuqing in such a rush? He'd been plotting for 6 months, slowly cornering me. Now that he was on the verge of success, why sue me for defamation now? It didn't add up. Unless he was scared. He was terrified that I actually held something that could sink his ship. My phone buzzed again. It was the company accountant, President Wen. The bank called again. They said if we don't pay back that 30 million by tomorrow, they'll apply for a court order to freeze all our assets. Understood. I looked at the folder in my lap. Whether Zhao Xianxian's gift was a blessing or a curse, I'd find out soon enough. But one thing was certain, I had to find a way to make the bank blink before tomorrow. I dialed a number. Mr. Lin, do you have any connections in Hong Kong? A few. Why? I want to check if Qi Medical has any offshore accounts there. They do. He said. HSBC, what are you planning? I'm going to freeze them. There was a 3-second silence, followed by a burst of laughter from Lin Muzhou. When Wanrong, you are far more ruthless than I imagined. 3 days later, at the filming set of a financial news program, I sat in the guest lounge, watching the live broadcast on the monitor. Qi Yuqing was being interviewed, looking dapper in his suit with a perfectly practiced smile. Regarding the situation between Qi Medical and Pet for Life, I can only say that I am deeply saddened, he told the camera, his face a mask of sincerity. President Wen and I were once a couple. I admired her talent and respected her career, but matters of the heart cannot be forced because of personal reasons. She acted out at the wedding. I can understand and even forgive that. But she should not have maliciously defamed Qi Medical by claiming our products are defective. This is an insult to our 30,000 employees and our 1,700,000 patients. The host nodded. Well said, President Qi. So is your 50 million yuan defamation suit purely to protect the company's reputation? Exactly, Qi Yuqing said. I don't need the money, but I owe our staff and patients an explanation. Qi Medical has operated for 15 years without a single quality issue. If someone thinks they can destroy us with rumors, I will not stand for it. The audience erupted in applause. I looked at the screen and smiled. A staff member peeked in. President Wen, you're up, you're our remote guest, just take a seat here. I sat at the terminal and put on the headset. The director's voice came through. President Wen, the host will ask you a few questions, just answer truthfully. There's a 30-second broadcast delay. If anything goes wrong, we'll cut the feed. Understood. The screen flipped and the host looked into the lens. Next, we're joined by a very special guest, the founder of Pet for Life MS, Wen Wanrong. Good evening, President Wen. Good evening, I said. President Wen, you just heard President Qi's statement. Is there anything you'd like to say? Yes. I looked directly into the camera. I'd like to ask President Qi one question. Why were the quality reports for batch K202111108 altered? On the screen, Qi Yuqing's expression fractured. When Wanrong, what kind of nonsense are you spewing? He stood up. This is a live broadcast. Do you have any idea what you're saying? I know exactly what I'm saying. I held up the document. This is the original report from the German manufacturer. It states clearly pressure resistance was 30% below standard. And this is the falsified report where the data magically meets the requirements. Tell me, President Qi, which one is the truth? The host froze, the director froze, but the cameras kept rolling. President Wen, are you certain this report is authentic? The host asked. I am, I replied. And I also know that this batch of 2,000 units was sold to 17 hospitals. 12 patients who used them had complications. 3 of them died. Zhao Lei was one of those 3. Qi Yuqing turned livid. When Wanrong, this is defamation. You're trying to frame me with a fake report. A fake. I laughed. Are you sure about that, President Qi? Then let me ask you, what was the name of the German inspector? What date did he sign? Who handled the paperwork for the revision on your end? Can you name them? He opened his mouth but no words came out. You can't, can you? I said. Because you know this is real. Not only do you know it, but you personally gave the order to repackage the substandard products, swap the labels and sell them anyway. You're lying. Chi Yucheng roared. Security, get her out of here, President. Chi, we are live, the host reminded him. I don't care, she's slandering me. I looked at the screen and spoke with icy precision. Chi Yucheng, if you think I'm slandering you, sue me. Don't stop at 50 million, make it 1 billion, but before that answer me this. How much did you pay the families of those 12 patients? How many NDAs did you force them to sign? The screen suddenly went black, the 30-second delay finally caught up, and the director cut the feed, but it was too late. 3 seconds later. My phone rang. It was Lin Muzhou. Incredible, he said. The ratings just hit the roof. Everyone is searching 4K 20211108. You're the top 3 trending topics on social media. I hung up and stood up. Staff rushed in, looking embarrassed. President, when I'm so sorry just now. It's fine, I said. I've said everything I needed to say. As I left the station, dozens of reporters blocked my path. President, when is that report real? Has Chi Medical responded? Are you worried about the lawsuit? I ignored them and climbed into Lin Muzhou's car. Where to? He asked. The office, I said. It's time to close the net. Just as we pulled away, my phone rang again. It was Zhao Xianxian. Sister Wen, are you insane? She yelled. Chi Yucheng already had that broadcast recorded. He's with his lawyers right now preparing to hike the damages to 200 million. Let him. Sister Wen. She panicked. The evidence you have isn't enough. You have the report, but you don't have the internal emails or the bank transfers. He can claim you forged everything. I smiled. Zhao Xianxian, why do you think I went on live TV today? She fell silent. Because I needed him to panic, I said. When he panics, he moves. When he moves, he leaves a trail. Even if I didn't have all the evidence today, I'll have it by the time he's done trying to cover his tracks. There was a 3-second silence, then she laughed. Sister Wen, you really are. I'm hanging up, I said. See you the day after tomorrow. I hung up and Lin Muzhou looked at me. Are you sure he'll bite? Positive, I said. A man like him has a god complex. He can't stand being humiliated in public tonight. He'll definitely try to do something. I texted Attorney Ju, keep a close eye on Chi Medical's accounts, especially those linked to hospital payments. Things might get loud tonight. 3 seconds later. Understood. 3 days later, outside the courthouse at 8:00 a.m., the entrance was swamped with over 100 reporters and dozens of protesters. The signs were all over the place. Punish the slanderer. Wen Wanrong, get out of medicine. QI Medical is innocent. I sat in the car watching the chaos. Attorney Ju was flipping through documents beside me. President Wen, today is just a pre-trial hearing, not the full trial, but their lawyer is a heavyweight Chi Medical's go-to guy. He's been handling medical litigation for 20 years and has never lost a case. I know. I pushed the door open and stepped out. Reporters swarmed me instantly. President Wen, are you confident about today's hearing? How do you feel about Chi Medical raising the damages to 100 million? Some say you're just using this drama for publicity. Your response? I ignored them, cutting through the crowd toward the courthouse steps. Suddenly, a voice rang out. When Wanrong, I turned. A middle-aged woman burst through the crowd, clutching a sign that read, "Give me back my son's life." She threw herself at my feet, sobbing and clutching my legs. President Wen, please tell me how my son really died. The hospital said it was natural causes, but I didn't believe them. He was only 23, he used Chi Medical's equipment. I froze. The reporters went into a frenzy of flashing lights. Security guards rushed forward, trying to pull the woman away, but she clung to my legs with a death grip, sobbing heart-wrenchingly. President Wen, is it true? Do you really have evidence? Can you show me? I just want to know the truth before I die. I knelt down and looked her in the eye. What was your son's name? Zhao Lei, she choked out. My son's name was Zhao Lei. Zhao Lei's mother. Zhao Shenxian's face flashed through my mind along with her words. I was interning at Chi Medical when my brother was hospitalized. I helped her up. Please rest assured today I will give you the justice you deserve. She nodded through her tears. I turned and walked into the courthouse. The pre-trial hearing took place in a small conference room. The opposing counsel was a man named Attorney Chen in his 50s, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Looking every bit the sophisticated scoundrel. President Wen, a pleasure to finally meet you, he said, extending his hand. I didn't take it. He offered a thin smile, withdrew his hand and sat down. The judge, a middle-aged woman, announced the start of the proceedings with a stony face. Attorney Chen spoke first. Your Honor, my client maintains that the statements made by the defendant Ms. Wen Wanrong during the live broadcast constitute severe defamation. She claimed our products have quality issues but failed to produce any valid evidence. This has not only damaged my client's reputation but has caused massive financial losses to Chi Medical. We demand a public apology and 100 million yuan in damages. The judge looked at me. I stood up and pulled out a folder. Your Honor, this is our evidence. Attorney Chen smirked. President Wen, we've already authenticated your so-called evidence. The quality report from the German manufacturer lacks an official seal and signature. It's a forgery. Do you have anything else? I do. I opened the folder and pulled out a second document. This is an internal email from Chi Medical, sender Chi Yuqing, recipient procurement manager. The content reads, recall the entire K20211108 batch, relabel and resell. The date is November 15, 2021. Chen's face went pale. That's impossible. He stood up. That's a forgery. A forgery. I laughed. Are you sure about that, Attorney Chen? Then please explain why the sender's IP address traces back to Chi Medical's internal server. Why was it sent from Chi Yuqing's private account? And why is the attachment the exact falsified quality report? He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. The judge took the document and scanned it. Defendant, how did you obtain this email? It was provided by an internal whistleblower at Chi Medical. I said, to protect the witness, I cannot disclose their identity yet. However, Your Honor, I can provide the raw metadata for technical authentication. The judge nodded. Very well, Attorney Chen panicked. Your Honor, this is an obvious plant. Chi Medical never sent such an email. This is a malicious frame-up by a competitor. Whether it's a frame-up or not will be clear once it's authenticated. I said, Attorney Chen, you seem awfully agitated. Are you afraid the results won't go your way? He turned beet red with rage. The judge rapped her gavel on the table. Order in the court. This concludes today's hearing. The technical department will provide the authentication results next Monday. Adjourned. As I walked out of the meeting room, Zhao Lei's mother was still waiting at the door. President Wen, how did it go? Don't worry, I said. There will be an answer very soon. She moved to kneel again, but I caught her. Please don't do this. I will get to the bottom of what happened to your son. She nodded. Weeping, I stepped outside and the reporters swarmed again. This time I didn't walk away. I stood on the steps, facing the cameras. I will make the authentication results public next Monday. I announced, if the email is real, Chi Yuqing must answer for those 3 lives. If it is fake, I will personally accept all legal consequences. With that, I walked down the steps. In the crowd, I spotted Zhao Xianxian. She was standing in a corner wearing sunglasses and a black trench coat. She gave me a single nod before vanishing into the throng. I got into the car. Attorney Zhu asked, President Wen, that email, is it actually real? I looked out the window. Take a guess. The night before the results were due, I received a phone call. Ms. Wen, I am Chi Yuqing's mother. Could I invite you over for a chat? I was taken aback. Mrs. Chi, in her 70s, was one of the founders of Chi Medical. She was known to be a formidable woman back in the day, though she had stayed out of the spotlight since her husband's passing. About what? About Yuqing, she said. I'd like to talk. I was silent for 3 seconds. Fine, send me the address. At 8:00 p.m. I arrived at the Chi family estate, an old 3-story Western-style villa in the West End. 2 massive locust trees shaded half the courtyard. A maid led me in. In the living room, Mrs. Chi sat on the sofa. Her hair was stark white and her face deeply lined, but her eyes were sharp, the eyes of a woman who had been shrewd her entire life. Ms. Wen, please sit, she said, gesturing to the opposite sofa. I sat. The maid served tea and withdrew. Ms. Wen, do you know why I asked you here? I don't. She watched me in silence for a few heartbeats. Yuqing was spoiled by his father from a young age. When his father was alive, he let him have his way in everything. After he passed and the company was handed over, Yuqing just lost his way. She paused. I know he's wronged you, but I'm asking you, give him a way out. I looked at her. Mrs. Chi, do you have any idea what your son has done? I do, she nodded. I know about the artificial joints, I know about the 12 patients and the 3 deaths, but more importantly, I know why he did it. And why was that? For me, she said, for the reputation of the Chi family. She took a sip of tea. Do you know the truth about how his father died? A medical accident, I said. Yes, she nodded. But he didn't die from a Chi medical device. He died using a device from a competitor. The owner of that company was Lin Muzhou's father. I froze. Lin Muzhou's father was my husband's partner back then, Mrs. Chi explained. They had a falling out and Lin's father took the tech and the clients to start his own firm. My husband was consumed by spite. He wanted to develop a superior product to prove him wrong, but the product wasn't ready. He insisted on using it on himself and then, she closed her eyes. It devastated Yuqing. He blamed his father's rival for the death and swore revenge. All these years, his aggressive expansion and his obsession with crushing Lin Health were just to prove he was better than his father's rival's son. I listened, saying nothing, but the artificial joint issue, he didn't do that on purpose, Mrs. Chi said, opening her eyes. The German factory screwed him over. When the report arrived, he knew there was a problem, but he didn't dare admit it. To admit fault was to destroy the company, so he was forced to alter the reports to handle the batch. Handle it, I sneered, repackaging it, swapping labels and selling it to unsuspecting patients. Is that what you call handling it? She looked down. I know he was wrong, but he's my son. I can't stand by and watch him go to prison. She looked up at me. When name your price, whatever it takes. I stood up. Mrs. Chi, your son took 3 lives. 3 lives aren't for sale. Then what do you want? I looked her in the eye. I want him in a cell. Her face hardened. When are you truly intent on total destruction? I'm not the one destroying him, I said. He did this to himself. I turned to leave. When? She called out, standing up. Aren't you afraid I'll find a way to destroy the email evidence? I stopped and looked back. Mrs. Chi, do you really think I'd come here tonight without a backup plan? She was stunned. I pushed the door open and walked out. The moonlight was beautiful in the courtyard. As I reached the gate, a black sedan pulled up. The window rolled down to reveal Zhao Xianxian. Sister Wen, get in. I looked at her. What are you doing here? Waiting for you, she said. I knew Qi Yuqing's mother would track you down. Get in, I have something to tell you. I hesitated for a second, then opened the door and sat inside. As the car pulled away, Zhao Xianxian stared straight ahead. Sister Wen, the authentication results are in. I know. Care to guess if it's real or fake? It's real. She turned to me and smiled. How did you know? Because if it were fake, you wouldn't be looking for me. She laughed, sounding genuinely amused. You're getting sharper by the minute, Sister Wen. She floored it, and the car accelerated. Where are we going? I asked. To save you, she said. Qi Yuqing knows the results are real and is panicking. He's hired people to deal with you tonight. I watched her. You're saving me? Yes, she said, because I happened to be in the car too. No sooner had she spoken than 2 black SUVs roared up behind us, flanking the car on both sides. Hold on. Zhao Xianxian slammed the gas. The car lunged forward. The SUVs kept pace, closing in. Are they Qi Yuqing's men? I asked. Yes, Zhao Xianxian said. He wants to stage a car crash so you can't make it to court tomorrow. I looked out the window. The SUVs were inches away. What about you? Me, she smirked. Don't worry about me, Sister Wen. Just remember, you must show up in court tomorrow and put Qi Yuqing away. She yanked the steering wheel, veering the car onto the sidewalk, weaving between 2 trees, and ducking into a narrow alleyway. The SUVs couldn't follow and screeched to a halt at the entrance. Zhao Xianxian parked behind a building and killed the lights. Get out, she said. Walk 200 meters forward. There's a subway station. Take the train back. I looked at her. And what about you? I'm going back, she said. I have unfinished business. What business? She looked at me, silent for 3 seconds. Sister Wen, I lied to you. I froze. I stole that email, she said. But I didn't do it because of my brother. I did it for myself 3 years ago after my brother died. Qi Yuqing told me he could give me a chance to stay at Qi Medical and work for him. The condition was that I had to forget my brother and focus only on making him money. I agreed. She lowered her head. I thought I could take it, but I couldn't. Every time I looked at Qi Yuqing, I remembered my brother on his deathbed. He was clutching my hand, saying, "Sis, it hurts so much." She looked up, her eyes swimming with tears. Sister Wen, I know I'm not a good person. I helped Qi Yuqing do a lot of terrible things, including plotting against you, but for once I want to do the right thing. She pushed the car door open. Go now, they'll find this place soon. I looked at her, silent for a few heartbeats, then I got out. I walked a few steps and turned back. She was standing by the car, waving. Don't look back, Sister Wen. I turned and vanished into the night. The next morning, 8:00 a.m. at the courthouse steps, I stood there with Attorney Zhu and Lin Muzhou. A sea of reporters surrounded us, their cameras aimed like weapons. President Wen, is it true the authentication came back positive? Has Qi Medical issued a response? There are rumors you were attacked last night, is that true? I ignored them and scanned the crowd. Zhao Xianxian was nowhere to be found. I had called her 3 times, her phone was off. President Wen, it's time to go in, Zhu said. I nodded and turned to enter. Suddenly there was a commotion in the crowd. I looked back and saw a black sedan screech to a halt, the door flew open, and Zhao Xianxian scrambled out. Her hair was a mess, her face was bruised, and her clothes were torn. She stumbled toward me as the reporters went into a frenzy. Sister Wen, she screamed, I have something to say. Security tried to block her. Let her through, I said. They stepped aside. Zhao Xianxian rushed to me and grabbed my hands, her voice trembling. Sister Wen, I'm sorry, I lied to you. I didn't steal that email. Qi Yuqing told me to send it. I froze. What? He did it on purpose, she said, her voice trembling. He knew you were investigating, so he had me forge that email to make you think you had the smoking gun. He was waiting for you to present it in court so he could countersue you for fabricating evidence. She caught her breath. But last night, he changed his mind. He didn't want to wait for the trial. He wanted to take you out permanently. We had a massive fight about it, and then she gestured to the bruises on her face. I looked deep into her eyes. And why are you telling me this now? She let out a dry laugh as tears escaped. Because of my brother. I had a dream about him last night. He asked me, Sis, whose side are you really on? She broke into a sob. Sister Wen, I'm not a good person, but I really don't want to help him hurt anyone ever again. I remained silent for 3 seconds, then I pulled her into a hug. Thank you. She froze. You believe me? I don't, I said, releasing her. But today I need you. I turned and walked into the courthouse. The pre-trial hearing was in the same room with the same judge and the same attorney Chen, but this time, there was a new face. Zhao Xianxian. Your Honor, I request permission for Ms. Zhao Xianxian to testify as a witness, I announced. Attorney Chen's expression soured. Objection. Ms. Zhao is a Qi medical employee. Her testimony is inherently biased and unreliable. The judge looked at me. Defendant, what is your response? I stood up. Your Honor, Ms. Zhao is not only an employee but also Qi Yuqing's former intimate partner. More importantly, she is the sister of a victim from the medical accident 3 years ago. Her brother, Zhao Lei, died on the operating table due to those substandard artificial joints. The room went deathly silent. The judge turned to Zhao Xianxian. Ms. Zhao, do you have something to share with the court? Zhao Xianxian stood and produced a USB drive. Your Honor, this contains recordings of Qi Yuqing ordering me to forge the email, evidence of him hiring people to stage a car accident yesterday, and the truth behind his father's death. Attorney Chen bolted upright. Your Honor, this is blatant slander. Sit down, the judge said coldly, then turned back to Zhao Xianxian. Proceed. Zhao Xianxian took a deep breath. Qi Yuqing's father didn't die because of a competitor's device. He died because of Qi Medical's own equipment. That batch was produced by the same German factory as the later K202111108 batch. To cover this up, Qi Yuqing framed his rivals. His years of sabotaging Lin Health weren't about avenging his father. It was a smokescreen to make everyone believe Lin Health was responsible for the death. I glanced at Lin Muzhou. He looked perfectly calm, as if he had known all along. Ms. Zhao, do you have proof? The judge asked. Yes, Zhao Xianxian said. The original accident appraisal and the medical records are on this drive. These documents were given to me by Qi Yuqing's mother, Mrs. Qi. I was stunned. Why would she give them to you? Zhao Xianxian looked at me. Because she couldn't watch her son fall any further. She called me last night and said she'd been up thinking. She realized you were right. 3 lives aren't for sale. She wanted me to hand this over and let the law decide. I stood there, my mind momentarily blank. Suddenly a commotion erupted outside. The doors burst open and Qi Yuqing charged in, his face livid. He pointed a finger at Zhao Xianxian, screaming, "You bitch! You fucking dared to sell me out!" Security tackled him, even pinned to the floor. He struggled. "When Wanrong," he roared at me, "you think you've won, you're dreaming. I still have a trump card, just you wait." I looked into his eyes. There was rage, madness, and a strange, hollow desperation. The guards dragged him out and the doors shut. The silence that followed was deafening. The judge stared at the USB drive for a long time. Finally, she looked up. "The pre-trial hearing is concluded. The formal trial begins this Monday." She stood and left. I remained in my seat, Qi Yuqing's parting words echoing in my head. "I still have a trump card." "What card?" I looked at Zhao Xianxian. She was looking back at me. "Sister Wen, he really does have another move." "What is it?" She shook her head. I don't know, but that look in his eyes, I've seen it before, it's the same look he had 3 years ago when he falsified the first quality report. I clenched my fists outside, the sun was shining, but I felt a sudden biting chill. Monday morning 8:00 am outside the courthouse. The crowd was even larger than before. Reporters, protesters, and onlookers blocked the entire street. Police cars lined the curb as officers tried to maintain order. I stepped out of the car, followed by Lin Muzhou and attorney Zhu. Today is the official trial, Zhu whispered. They'll fight back with everything. They've got to be ready. I know. As I walked toward the entrance, I spotted a familiar face, Mrs. Qi. She was standing in a corner, her white hair disheveled, looking exhausted. She gave me a small nod. I nodded back. Inside, the trial commenced. The judge banged the gavel. The court is now in session. The case of Qi Medical Group vs. Wen Wanrong for defamation is called for hearing. Attorney Chen stood up to lead. Your Honor, the defense maintains that Ms. Wen's statements were malicious slander regarding the internal email. While it has been authenticated as real, it does not prove my client was aware of quality issues. That email was sent by the procurement manager, not my client. My client merely received it and never replied. This was the isolated act of an employee, not the company. I leaned toward attorney Zhu. They're scapegoating, he whispered, trying to pin it all on the manager. The judge looked at me. I stood up. Your Honor, if this was an isolated act, then I ask, why was the procurement manager promoted to vice president immediately after the incident? Why is there a 20 million yuan villa in his name? Why was 5 million yuan transferred to his account? Who authorized that payment? Chen's face twitched. Objection, this is irrelevant to the case. It is entirely relevant, I countered. It proves the manager was paid to take the fall. The one actually pulling the strings was Qi Yuqing. I produced another document. This is a chat log between Qi Yuqing and the manager. It says clearly, handle that batch, swap the labels, resell. If anything happens, I'll take the heat. Dated November 16, 2021. Chen panicked. Your Honor, where did these logs come from? They were obtained illegally. They are inadmissible. Illegal. I smiled. Attorney Chen, do you know who gave me these logs? He faltered. I looked toward the gallery. He gave them to himself. Every head in the room turned. Qi Yuqing sat at the plaintiff's table, his face ashen. Qi Yuqing, did you forget? I said, the day you said those words to the manager in your office. You asked me to wait outside the door. Your phone was recording. You recorded the conversation yourself. He jumped to his feet. You're lying. I never did that. No. I pulled out my phone and played an audio clip. Qi Yuqing's voice filled the courtroom. Handle that batch, swap the labels, resell. If anything happens, I'll take the heat. The room erupted. Attorney Chen went pale, speechless. The judge hammered her gavel. Order, silence in the court. She looked at Qi Yuqing. Plaintiff, do you have any response? Qi Yuqing stood there, his lips trembling. Then he let out a sudden, jagged laugh. When Wanrong, you think this is over? He looked at me. I told you I have a trump card. Watch this. He pulled a paper from his pocket and held it high. I just received this summons. Lin Muzhou of Lin Health is under investigation for bribing Health Bureau officials. When Wanrong, your partner, is about to go down. I froze and looked at Lin Muzhou. He sat in the gallery, his face an unreadable mask of calm. Mr. Lin, do you have anything to say? The judge asked. Lin Muzhou stood and walked forward. Your Honor, the summons is real, but I must state for the record I have never bribed anyone. Then what is this summons based on? It's a frame-up by Qi Yuqing, he said. He hired someone to impersonate me and deliver cash to an official, then filmed it and reported me. I can prove those videos are fake. He produced a USB drive. This is the original surveillance footage proving the person in the video was not me. The judge took the drive. After a brief review, she turned to Qi Yuqing. Plaintiff, your response? Qi Yuqing's face drained of color. That's impossible. Those videos are real. Real. Lin Muzhou smiled. Qi Yuqing, the actor you hired was a former employee of mine whom I fired long ago. Did you think he helped you because he hated me? No, he did it because he needed money, and I paid him double what you did. After he filmed the bribe for you, he came straight to me and told me everything. Qi Yuqing stood frozen, defeated. The judge struck the gavel. The evidence is conclusive. In the case of Qi Medical Group vs. Wen Wanrong, this court finds the defendant not guilty. The plaintiff's charges are dismissed. Furthermore, this court will hand over all evidence to the prosecution with a recommendation to open an immediate criminal investigation into Qi Yuqing for medical malpractice and evidence fabrication. The gavel fell with a final thwack. Court is adjourned. as the bailiffs led Chi Yuching away. He looked back at me one last time, his eyes held hate, despair, and a glint of something I couldn't quite name. When Wanrong, he yelled, "You think you won, just wait, the day I get out will be the day you die." I ignored him. I stepped out of the courthouse into the blinding sunlight. Reporters swarmed. "President Wen, are you satisfied with the verdict? What's your next move? Is it finally over between you and Chi Yuching?" I stood on the steps, facing the cameras. "It's not over," I said. Chi Yuching was just the beginning. Now I'm going to find the absolute truth behind those 3 deaths, and for every patient hurt by those devices, I will get them the justice they deserve. Someone in the crowd began to clap. Then another. Soon, a wave of applause swept through the street. I saw Zhao Lei's mother in the crowd, her face drenched in tears, clapping with all her might. I walked down the steps to her. "I'm sorry I made you wait so long." She grabbed my hand, sobbing, "Thank you, President Wen, thank you." I gave her a hug, then turned and got into the car. Lin Muzhou was in the driver's seat. "Where to?" I looked out the window. "The hospital." "The hospital?" "Yes," I said. "I want to go see the patients." He was silent for a few seconds before starting the engine. As we drove away, the courthouse receded in the distance. I leaned back and closed my eyes. Chi Yuching's final look flashed through my mind. What was in that gaze I didn't know, but I knew one thing: this wasn't the end. 3 months later, the new medical center for Pet for Life held its grand opening. A lot had happened in those 3 months. Chi Yuching was formally arrested and faced charges of malpractice, bribery, and forgery, with a potential sentence of over 15 years. Chi Medical was seized and its operations suspended pending investigation. The problematic devices were all recalled and the families received their compensation. My company, meanwhile, hadn't just survived, it had flourished. Our reputation had soared, and our business tripled. The new center was a 200 million yuan investment with top-tier imported equipment and a world-class team. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was set for 10:00 a.m. I stood at the entrance in a sharp black suit, looking at the red silk veil covering the sign, Pet for Life Medical Center. Lin Muzhou stood beside me. "Nervous?" "Not at all." "Then why are your palms sweaty?" I looked down. He was holding my hand. I pulled it back and shot him a glare. He just laughed. Zhao Xianxian walked out wearing a white lab coat. She was now my assistant, specifically handling patient relations. 3 months ago she had resigned and come to me, asking for a fresh start. I'd thought about it for a night and agreed. "Sister Wen, it's time," she said. I nodded and stepped up to the red veil. Reporters raised their cameras, waiting for the reveal. Just then a commotion broke out at the back of the crowd. A voice rang out, "Wen Wanrong." I turned. Chi Yuching stood outside the crowd, dressed in a bespoke suit, his hair meticulously styled, a triumphant smirk playing on his lips. Shouldn't he be in prison? The reporters froze for a heartbeat before their cameras erupted in a blinding frenzy of flashes. Chi Yuching, how is he out? Wasn't he sentenced to 15 years? What's happening? I watched him, unmoving. He cut through the crowd and came to a halt directly in front of me. Surprised when Wanrong, he chuckled. "The prosecutor's office dropped the charges due to insufficient evidence. I've been exonerated. I am a free man." I narrowed my eyes. "Insufficient evidence?" "Exactly," he said. "That email, those chat logs, the recordings, all obtained through illegal means, rendered inadmissible in court. As for those 3 deaths, who can prove I was responsible? The procurement manager has already confessed. He claims he acted alone. It has nothing to do with me." He looked utterly delighted. "You thought you won, when Wanrong. No, you lost. I'm out, and your career is just beginning from this day forward. I'll show you the true meaning of retribution." I looked at him and said nothing. He turned, waving grandly to the reporters. "Everyone, I, Chi Yuching, am innocent. These past 3 months, I have suffered grave injustices behind bars, but now the truth has come to light. I am filing a defamation lawsuit against Wen Wanrong for 1 billion yuan. The camera flashes were relentless. I stood my ground, watching his retreating back. Lin Muzhou stepped up beside me, his voice a low hiss. "What the hell happened? How did he get out?" "He has powerful backers," I said. "Chi Medical's roots run deeper than we imagined." "So what now?" I was silent for 3 seconds, then a smile touched my lips. "Let him dance," I said. "The higher he leaps, the harder he'll fall." Zhao Xianxian approached, her face pale. "Sister Wen, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault." I cut her off. "Continue the ceremony." I walked to the podium and pulled the red veil. Applause broke out. Chi Yuching stood at the edge of the crowd, arms crossed, looking smug. I looked at him and began a Silent countdown 1, 2, 3. My phone buzzed, a text from Attorney Ju President when we've got it. I smiled and looked up at Chi Yuqing. He was still grinning. He had no idea that the day he went to prison 3 months ago, I had already begun investigating the people behind him. The evidence was now in my hands. Chi Yuqing, you think you've escaped? No, you've just traded a small hole for a bottomless abyss. 3 days later, Chi Yuqing held a press conference to announce his billion-yuan lawsuit against me. The venue, the Four Seasons Hotel, the exact place where he had held his anniversary gala. I received an invitation, but it wasn't a guest pass, it was a notification of my impending ruin. I looked at the card and laughed. Lin Muzhou asked, "Are you really going?" "Yes," I said. "Why wouldn't I? He's going to humiliate you in front of everyone." "Then let him try." I stood up. I happened to have a grand gift for him as well. 3:00 p.m. for Seasons Hotel. The hall was packed. Chi Yuqing stood on stage, looking every bit the high-flying tycoon. "Everyone, today I have a major announcement," he told the cameras. "I am formally suing Wen Wanrong for 1 billion yuan. I have suffered for 3 months, but justice has finally prevailed. She used illegal means to frame me, hoping to see me rot in a cell. But she forgot, justice may be delayed, but it is never denied." The room erupted in applause. He continued, "Today I demand an explanation from her in front of the whole world. Where is she? Does she even dare to show her face?" The doors swung open. I walked in, every head turned. Chi Yuqing faltered for a second, then smirked. "When Wanrong, you actually had the nerve to show up." I walked onto the stage and stood right beside him. "You wanted an explanation, Chi Yuqing. Well, I'm here. What do you want to hear?" He looked at me with pure venom and triumph. "An explanation? You framed me and stole 3 months of my life. How are you going to settle that debt?" "Framed you?" I chuckled. "Are you sure about that?" "Absolutely." He pointed to the audience. "Everyone, this is the woman who sent me to prison with forged evidence. Now that I'm free, what else does she have to say?" I was silent for 3 seconds, then I pulled out a manila folder. "Chi Yuqing, do you know what's in here?" His expression shifted. "What is it?" "The true cause of your father's death," I said. "And the true cause of your mother's." He froze. "What are you talking about? My mother is alive." "Alive?" I smiled icily. "Are you sure about that?" I turned to the audience and opened the folder. "Ladies and gentlemen, today I will reveal the truth. Chi Yuqing's mother died 3 months ago." The room gasped. Chi Yuqing turned deathly pale. "You're lying. She called me just yesterday." "Called you?" I pulled out a document. "This is the forensic report, Mrs. Chi died 3 months ago on the night before your first pre-trial hearing. The cause of death, suicide by poison." Chi Yuqing stumbled back, clutching the table for support. "Impossible. Impossible. Do you know why she did it?" I looked him in the eye. "Because she knew that to cover your tracks, you were willing to let even her die." "Liar," he roared. "Liar." I pulled out a second document. "This is her suicide note. She wrote that after your father died, you forged evidence to blame Lin Muzhou's father to hide the truth. When she found out, you tried to silence her. She had no choice but to end her own life." Chi Yuqing was speechless, his face a mask of horror. "And finally," I produced a third item. "This is a video she recorded before she died. She said you tried to force her to sign over her shares. When she refused, you locked her away. Suicide was her only escape." I hit play on the giant screen. Mrs. Chi's face appeared. Her hair was white, her face haggard. She looked into the camera and said, "Yuqing, I've failed you as a mother. I didn't raise you right and you've become a monster. I can't help you hide your sins anymore. Those 3 lives and your father's death, they are all on your hands. I'm tired, Yuqing. I'm going now. I hope you find your way." The video ended. The silence in the hall was suffocating. Chi Yuqing stood trembling, then burst into a jagged laugh. "Fake, it's all fake. You're all in on it to frame me." He pointed at the crowd. "You believe her. She's a liar. She's framing me." No one spoke. The reporters just kept snapping photos. He turned to me. "When Wanrong, you think you won. I still have a card to play." "A card?" I laughed. "What card do you have left? Your mother is dead. Your father is dead. Your company is gone. Your money is drained. What do you have?" He stood there, hollow. I stepped closer and whispered, "Do you know why I came here today?" He stared at me. "Because I wanted to watch you lose everything with my own eyes." He opened his mouth but no sound came out. Footsteps echoed from the entrance. Several officers in uniform walked up to him. "Chi Yuqing, you are under arrest for murder, evidence fabrication, bribery, and multiple other charges." He was pinned down and handcuffed. As they led him away, he looked back at me. His eyes were full of hate, despair, and a glint of something I couldn't quite name, but I didn't look back. I walked off the stage and out of the hotel. Outside, the sun was brilliant. Lin Mujo was leaning against his car waiting. "Is it over?" he asked. "It's over," he smiled. "So what's next?" I looked at the distant horizon. "Next, Pet for Life is opening a second branch, then a third and a fourth. I'm going to make it the largest veterinary chain in the country." "And what about me?" he asked. "Can I invest?" I looked at him. Yes, he said. "I'd like to partner up." I was silent for 3 seconds, then I laughed. "Lin Mujo, do you know what I hate most in this world?" "What?" "Men who are full of themselves." He blinked, then laughed. "Fine, no self-importance. Just business. We don't have to talk about feelings." I looked at him. "Deal." He held out his hand. I shook it. In the distance, Zhao Xianxian was standing at the entrance of the new medical center, waving at me. She was in her white coat, smiling brightly. I walked toward her. "Sister, when we're all set," she said. "The first batch of patients is already here." I looked at the owners holding their pets and the little animals waiting for care. "Let's go," I said. "Time to get to work." I stepped into the medical center. Behind me, the sunlight flooded the ground. On that night 3 months ago, standing outside the courthouse watching Qi Yuqing being taken away, I thought it was the end, but now I know that was just the beginning. A new life had started, and I was finally free to do exactly what I wanted. The end.